Yep.
Sonne and Chris back again. We're gonna do a quickie door install here. Now we're repurposing this door from the bathroom door, so it's not pre-hung. So I'm going to be mortising out where the hinges go. Show you how to do that. And Chris is going to be building a bench upstairs for the bathroom. So,
for the shower.
For the shower.
It's not a sex bench.
It's not a sex bench.
Not a sex bench.
So you say. Get her done.
Get her done. 30 minutes.
You want to measure the height from the top of your door to the first hinge, second hinge, and third hinge. And give yourself about 1/8 of an inch for the door to close up top. So I got 8 1/4, I'm going to do 8 3/8. Down to 11 3/4, so I'm going to do 11 7/8. So I'm marking my jamb. 8 3/8, 11 7/8. Do that with the other two, and you can either use a knife and score around that line and then chisel out, or I'm going to attempt to use a router for the first time and see how I do, but I'm actually going to do a little practice piece instead of doing it right on this jamb leg in case I mess it up. Router depth should be like 1/8 of an inch. So if you don't have a router, you can use a chisel and a hammer. And your knife.
Girl, boy, boy, girl, 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 boy, boy, whatever you should do what you do. How can they tell you?
Shims. Some people like to install this leg right against the framing. I like to have it out a little bit so I can kind of manipulate it a little bit. Shims go together like this, and you can create a deeper space or more shallow space. So I'm actually going to tack. I'm going to tack above this so that I can pull the nail out and adjust it. I mean, but this is more or less, you want to be able to manipulate this at this point. Make sure your jamb is installed flush with the wall, because when you put your trim on, you're not going to want to worry about a gap here or it being kinked out a little bit. You want it to just be nice and flush with the wall. The door's going to have a stop installed on it, so these nails I put in the middle are going to be covered. You can attach with screws once you're sure that everything's where you want it to be. Just make sure you don't pull in areas that might show a larger crack or reveal. So most important, getting this leg nice and plumb, because this is going to make sure your door opens right, and if you don't put it in right, your door could just swing open when it's open a little bit, or kink in the jamb a little bit and won't open right. So important. So this is a 30-inch left-hand door. You find out what hand the door is if you put your back to the jamb, whichever way it opens. This is a left, this is a right. It's 28 or 29 7/8. So the header portion of this, I'm going to cut to 30. And it should rest right in these little chair grooves they got at the top of the legs. I almost messed up. I was just going to cut that header portion to 30, but you have this little chair portion, which is 1/2 inch. Now, I've not installed a door jamb like this before, so if you know better than me and I missed a step or something, let me know. But I put a bit of glue on that little chair up there. I glued and nailed this where the header and the leg's going to come together here. So let's see. The hinges here, attaching the door, tack this on, but leave it a little bit for adjustment. You don't usually need to shim the top portion. However, because I just glued it here, I might add some shims and tack it. We'll see. You want the reveal on your door to be equal all the way around. So I can tell by the top here that this side is a little bit lower or a little bit higher than this side, so it's a good thing I only have just nails holding that in, so I can kind of pry it from the bottom and raise that up a little bit, and make any adjustments to the shim along the sides if I need to, if I find. about the same all the way. Strike plate needs to be installed, so I just saw where this little pin hits the jamb, mark that, and then I put this piece here, right along those two marks, marked where the top and bottom was, and then, so this is going to go on like this. I just flipped it around, since that's there, marked where the hole is going to be. I'm going to drill a hole, and a round hole won't quite work. You might have to cut up a little bit and around. Alright, I'm happy with where the door is right now. I'm going to actually attach it with more nails. You can use screws. I'm going to get the stop, which looks like it's installed about 1 3/8 back from the jamb. So I'm going to cut that with a miter in the corners, get it on all 3 sides, put that on with some smaller brad nails, and cut my trim, miter that in the corners. Here's a lesson. Check on the hinges here how far in they're cut. This is 1 1/4 inch. So the hinge sticks out a little bit. I cut mine in 1 1/2 inch. So I'm gonna have to unscrew the screws, back it up about 1/4 inch, pre-drill my holes again. This jamb's MDF, you wouldn't really need to pre-drill MDF, but I have pine. So I'm gonna pre-drill those holes, and I'm gonna have a gap that I'll need to caulk in. However, the doorstop goes pretty close, like a 1/4 inch back. So that'll help hide my mistake. But if you come into this, just measure pre-existing jamb, might help you. You do want to leave the same amount of reveal of the jamb all the way around. Probably be like 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch. I mean, 1/8 is pretty good size, just a little bit showing. Equal all the way around. Make sure those miters come together good, but you can always cover up some cracks with a little bit of caulking. So just score and snap. So I use smaller nails to attach the door to the trim to the jamb. They don't need to be that long. The trim attaches to the framing underneath. You need to go through that 1/2 inch sheetrock into the stud. So I'm using some longer nails there. When I set this trim, I did put just 1 little nail in this leg and 1 little nail in this leg, so that when I put the top piece on, I could wiggle those a little bit to change the gap. You can always caulk that crack, but I mean, it helps have a little wiggle room when you're putting that last piece on, then attach everything. It's important when caulking to follow up with a wet finger, so caulk, paper towel or towel, run a line, wet your finger, follow.